Hello everyone. So I know it's been a while since I've uploaded a video and I apologize. It's been kind of crazy. I went back to work, so I have been busy with that. So now, after the Thanksgiving break, I had some time, so I was able to put together some things for a video. So today I would like to go over the 13 goals of a witch. This is something that is in a lot of witch books and a lot of pagan books, Wiccan books. You see them all over the place. Anytime you find reading material on information on witchcraft, paganism, Wicca, things like that, you usually come across the 13 goals of a witch. So I wanted to go through that and go over what each of the goals are. Now, I do have my notes here to kind of keep me on track because I tend to babble and my mind goes elsewhere quite often. So if you see me looking off to the side, I'm just going through my notes to see where I should be. So the first goal is to know yourself. Who are you? And knowing yourself is such a deep question. It's such a deep idea, thought. Who are you? And this is all aspects of yourself. This is the good, the bad, and the in-between. And I want to say bad with quotations because I don't believe that any part of anybody is truly bad. People do bad things, yes, but I think that we don't embrace our shadow self. A lot of people don't, and therefore we end up imbalanced and we end up we can't truly, let me go backwards a little bit. We can't truly know ourselves if we don't embrace all aspects of ourselves. So in order to get the answer to the question, who are you? Like, who am I? Is to ask yourself things like, what are your beliefs? What do you feel passionate about? What are your responses to certain situations that can be triggering? Asking yourself all of these questions and really going through each and every one and realizing all parts of yourself, not just the good ones. This is acknowledging all of the great aspects of yourself, accepting the not so great aspects, and recognizing the things you need to work on. So knowing yourself is really tapping into who you are, some things that you want to improve upon, some things that you want to acknowledge in your life, some things that you want to grow, some areas that you may want to grow. So knowing yourself is important because in order to work your craft, you need to feel comfortable in the work that you are doing. If you are doing something that you don't feel entirely comfortable with, then number one, your magic isn't going to be as effective because you're not in it 100%. So knowing yourself really works with the craft because knowing yourself means that you have to be comfortable with who you are in order to be able to manifest things in your life. Working your magic and just really knowing who you are, being comfortable with who you are, accepting who you are, all aspects. We have this thing in society that, the shadow self or some, quote unquote negative aspects that every single person on this planet has. We have, this positive part of ourselves, and then we have this other part of ourselves that people want to pretend doesn't exist, and they want to be portrayed as this wonderful person, but you are portraying only part of yourself. Being honest with yourself and things that you may not like about yourself. Embracing is not just accepting. Embracing that part of yourself is saying, I acknowledge that this is part of me. If you truly don't like that part, then those are things that you need to work on. Why don't I like this part of myself? Why am I like this? Why do I do these things? And that's really how you truly get to know who you are and know yourself, and really dig down deep, and really introduce yourself to yourself and say, you know what, we're going to do this, and we're going to put the effort in, and we're going to put the energy in to really know who we are. So that is the extremely winded number one. Number two is know your craft. What are your beliefs? What are your experiences in the craft that have shaped you? What have you learned? What do you want to learn? What path do you follow? Do you study, read, and practice? Are you following your own path or that of another? I feel like that last part is huge, because I feel like when we get started on this, I'm sorry, I have like an eyelash in my eye or something. So let me just try to dig it out. Are you following your own path or that of another? And I feel like when we start our path, we tend to, and I cannot speak for everybody, but I know a good portion of witches that start in their craft, they start by, number one, reading. A lot of people do go to different sources, such as Scott Cunningham, Raymond Buckland. So we have like all of these different sources, Raven Silverwolf. We have all of these different sources, and we're reading, but we are reading is another person's path. Then we go on the internet and we try to find some things on there. Now we're reading articles written by other people and their perspective of the craft and how they work their craft. And then we are finding spells online, and we're doing this and we're doing that. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. That is in fact how you learn. But if you don't step out of that, if you don't then branch off and then start writing your own spells and start to pull things from different sources that you have read in all these books and everything, really taking what resonates with you and creating your own path, and you are then following the path of others. And although there is nothing wrong with that, if it resonates with you, it can become a problem if you are practicing things that do not resonate with you. So this is really what knowing your craft is about. I am like, seriously, might just end up digging my whole eyeball out by the time I'm done with this video, because this eyelash is driving me nuts. I got it. Thank goodness. Today's video is on witchcraft and eyelash digging. So the other part of that answer is, do you study, do you read, and do you practice? You know, it's so easy to get caught up in busy lives, and, you know, I know for me personally, I suffer from depression. Mental health is almost this like taboo subject. However, I will be the first one to share my experiences, and I don't feel like it should be taboo. I feel people should be able to talk about mental health issues without feeling ashamed or embarrassed. I know that with myself, sometimes I get in these depressive episodes, and it's hard for me sometimes to pull myself out and to really get back into my craft. This is okay. This is okay. And that this is not what I mean when I say, do you study, read, and practice? This is more pertaining to, you know, are you just casting spells? Are you going by the very basic information that you have found online? And this is a great way to learn, yes, but knowing your craft is really knowing 100%, number one, what you are doing, knowing what you're working with. And this does not mean that you have to memorize everything, because that's not possible. If some people have a photogenic memory, or some people have fantastic memories, hey, good on them. I ain't one of them. So it's important to really know what you're doing. It's important to know when you are doing something how the process works. Because if you can't fully tap into your own power, then you're going to have trouble. You might get discouraged. You might get disappointed and upset. You might start then, you know, pointing the finger almost inward at yourself, like this just isn't working. There's something wrong with me. It's not. It's really just a matter of knowing what you're doing and knowing your craft and knowing what resonates with you, and really branching off and growing and following your own path. Number 3 is learn. You can be a witch for 40 years and still have lots to learn. I know that there are some people out there that try to pretend like, and, I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but there are witches out there that have been witches for a long time, and they almost try to make themselves seem superior because, to a new witch, because, they've been in the game for 40 years. I'm sorry, but we are all on the same playing field. We are all equal. Whether you are day 1, you have stuff to learn. Whether you are, year 40 in the craft, you still have stuff that you can learn. Learning never stops. The potential for learning and gaining wisdom never ends. That is a journey that never ends. There is no end to that. You will learn until the day that you pass, until the day that you transition. So, it's important to read. Reading, for me, now there may be some people that have a hard time reading. They maybe find it boring, which I can understand if you're reading something that you don't feel connected to. But I think that's the message. Why don't you feel connected to it? Why do you find it boring? Is it because you're not resonating with the information that you are reading? Find another source. Find something else. Maybe 10 years down the line, you may find that article, you may find that book interesting. And if today's not the day, that's okay. Move on to something else. It's okay to request information from others, but you'll be taking in their perspective, their opinions, their way. So that's, goes almost back to like know yourself and know your craft. You can gain knowledge and information and perspective from other people. I encourage that. I think that's great because you get to see like where other people are in their craft and how they learned and what kind of sources they pulled their information from or how they started to branch off on their own. I would just say that if you take all the information that you get and make sure you don't pour yourself into that, because you want to make sure that you really take that information and look at it through your own eyes and say, does this work for me? Or do I want to switch that up a little bit? Do I want to change that a little bit? Does this fully resonate with me? And then, as I said before, just going to all kinds of different sources. And this is why I say you can never stop learning. The journey of knowledge never ends. The more you read and talk to people about their craft, the better you will be able to see what resonates with you and apply what does resonate with you to your own individual path. So, again, really taking what resonates with you and making it your own path that fits your personality, your lifestyle, your craft. Number 4, apply knowledge with wisdom. It is one thing to know something and an entirely different thing to apply it. So we can, I can know color associations. I can know herbal properties. I can know crystal properties. I can know all of these things and have all of this knowledge. But if I don't put it to use, then it's just knowledge that sits with me. And I'm not saying that everybody has to know herbal properties. I'm sure there are witches out there that don't use crystals. I'm sure there's witches out there that don't do this or don't do that. That's a beautiful thing that we all follow a different path. But whatever it is that you are learning and what resonates with you, apply that. This is about taking what you know, what you've studied, and what you believe and start putting it into your practice. Start small. If you are a new witch, okay, if you are just starting out in your path, you do not want to get discouraged. I firmly believe that, everybody should start small. Start with, things such as meditation. There are different kinds of meditation. If you cannot sit there for 5 minutes, some people have ADHD, some people have, different things about them that they cannot sit there. Try something else. Try, drumming. Try fire scrying. Try different things and see what works for you as far as meditation goes. Because it's not all about sitting there and quieting your mind. That's a whole nother thing. I believe I've touched on that in a different video, but there's no such thing as quieting your mind. It's just about letting the thoughts come in and out, and don't try to shut it off, and don't get discouraged if there's this misconception that when you meditate, see, this is why I have notes. Okay, this is why I have notes, because I get completely sidelined to start ranting about something completely different. But I'm going to finish this thought before I move on. There's this misconception that when you meditate, that you need to sit there and your mind needs to be completely still and it needs to be completely silent and no thoughts can come in. And if a thought comes in, you have to start all over. No, that is not how the brain works. That is not how the mind works. You're going to have thoughts regardless. The key to meditating is to allow those thoughts to come in, and whatever does not serve you, whatever is not a message, just allow them to flow. Come in, go out. Come in, go out. Whatever you feel like is something important that has come in, it's important to either remember or write that down. Now that I've completely ranted about something different than I'm talking about, let's get back to this. Let's see, where was I? You must also know what you are doing and take responsibility for any and all outcomes. So this is important. Knowing what you're doing. And this is why I believe that witches should start small. If you're new to the craft, start small. Know what you are doing. There are some people that come into the craft and try to do these big manifestations without having the knowledge on how to really put that energy out there. This is about really starting small and seeing your manifestations come and come to life and grow and really appear in your life, and know that you've done that. So really, and taking responsibility if something happens. See, accountability, here we go again, right? I'm going to go off on a tangent. Accountability and responsibility are some things that people really have a difficult time with. We don't want to take responsibility for anything that has gone wrong. And it's important that when you're in life in general, but especially in the craft, that whatever has occurred, whether it be good or bad, that you take responsibility and accountability for yourself. We cannot blame others for our problems. We cannot. And that's about everything. This is just not about the craft. There, at some point, we have to stop pointing fingers at everybody else and take a mirror and look into it, because that's the person that we need to talk to, not anybody else. If you go into a spell with no knowledge, the effects may be no manifestation, or it may backfire on you and you end up adding chaos to your life. This is a very real thing. If a spell backfires on you, and it can, if, even there are some witches that have been practicing for years that sometimes have spells backfire on them. That can be a very tricky situation. You can end up in a situation where if you have a spell backfire on you, all of a sudden things are nutty in your life. Things are just absolutely nutty, and it takes a while for everything to sort out. So really knowing what you're doing and knowing what you're getting yourself into, and knowing what you're trying to bring in and where that's going to come from. Some people want material gain or monetary gain in their life, and sometimes they're not specific. And you can do a spell and say, I want X amount of dollars, and then they find out in a week that their aunt so and so has passed away and left them X amount of dollars. We need to be specific. I don't want to say we, and I don't want to project my information onto you. You could practice however you choose. But, I feel for me, and me just sharing my opinions and how I practice with whoever's watching these videos, I feel that, it should be spoken about where you want this money to come from. Do you want to get a raise? Do you want to, if you're an artist, do you want to sell more whatever you're creating? Do you want to have a larger clientele? So really try to be specific, especially when it comes to monetary things. If a spell backfires, it can be quite messy for a while. Now, if you take that same spell backed up with your knowledge and preparation, the outcome will be much more favorable to your pursuit and a more happy and exciting experience. And this is just it's good to know what you're doing. And it's important, especially as people come into the craft. We've had a lot of people in the recent years go from whatever religion that they're practicing or no religion and enter the craft. And they've watched way too many movies where they feel like it's easy to just like kind of say the thing and all of a sudden here it is. They're not going in prepared. There's no preparation. There are times where people, and I do not judge anybody who hexes. I don't judge anybody who does anything with their craft. There are some witches out there that think it's bad. I am neutral on that because I feel like people should be able to practice their craft however they choose. But if you're coming in to witchcraft and you're not applying knowledge with wisdom and you are trying to hex someone, you could end up in a bit of trouble. And this is why it is important to not only practice, but have wisdom, have knowledge, have, experience, have, stuff that back up what you're trying to do. Number 5, achieve balance. It's important to achieve balance on all levels. This means physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Be mindful of your health and take care of yourself. Now, this does not mean that you have to be a size 4, super fit, 6-pack, 12-pack, whatever you want to call it. Clearly, I am not, this like epitome of thin whatever. And I think that beauty comes in all sizes. So, but I do take care of myself. And so I think that, it's important to be mindful of your health. Mental health. Mental health is huge. Health is not just physical. Health is mental. Health is psychological. Health is physical. Health is also spiritual. It's important to be healthy in all of these areas. So taking care of yourself, a self-care day. Are you, are you so busy that you're eating junk all day because you don't have time to stop? It's important to be mindful of the choices that you're making in your life, to keep yourself healthy on all levels. Be mindful of how certain people or social situations make you feel and make changes with zero guilt if it is needed. With zero guilt. Okay, we cannot feel bad for removing ourselves from a toxic situation that triggers us or makes us feel drained, or people with mental health issues who are also an empath. We have a tendency to be too nice and to allow people to stay in our life much longer than they should. I learned years ago that needed to stop because I was hurting myself. I was feeling the physical effects of what I was putting myself through. With zero guilt. Now, this is something that takes a lot of practice, okay? Because especially as an empath, it can be very difficult to not feel bad for the other person. And that is because we are empathetic, and that's because we are feeling, and that's because we feel what they feel. And we put ourselves in everybody else's shoes, but our own sometimes. But you cannot feel bad for putting yourself first. You have to put yourself first. If someone is making you feel bad, drained, exhausted mentally and physically, making you feel like, everything is your fault. Dealing with narcissists is a big thing. If you feel like somebody always has a problem and no matter what solution you offer them, it's a yeah, but kind of person. Yeah, but I can't. Yeah, but those are toxic people. And you need to distance yourself or remove them entirely and not feel bad about it. Be mindful of your relationship with the earth. This is important. I feel, for me, this is so important. Being mindful of your relationship with the earth. The earth, Mother Earth, works so hard to keep us alive. Mother Earth works so hard to make sure that our existence still stands, no matter how awful the human race treats her. Because let's be honest, Mother Earth, Gaia, she is treated horribly. People are burning her to the ground, her forest. They throw trash all over the place. You've got all these factories pumping pollution into her air. You've got, it's just insanity. The human race is killing off all kinds of species of animals. We need to be mindful that we do not play a part in that. With that being said, recycle. You can recycle. That's a great thing to do. You can, take care of, some, I put in another video, taking care of yourself, adopting a tree. Adopting a tree is, finding a tree in your city or town. This could be in a park, in a cemetery, on your street, in your house, or not in your house. There's no trees in your house, but in front of your house or in your yard, adopting a tree, making sure that tree's okay. Talking to it and taking care of it, nurturing it. But another thing is you can plant a tree. You can plant a tree, and you can find out where you can plant them, and you can get, I don't know how certain city and town ordinances work, but you can get permission if there are ordinances in place. You can go around your neighborhood and pick up the trash that people dump. We can't go by, and like I said before, we can't point the finger elsewhere. And even though somebody else may be throwing their trash out the window as they drive by, and people, or when they walk by and they're just throwing the trash to the side, they don't care. Yes, it's easy to point the finger, right? But are we able? Do we have trash bags? Do we have legs? Do we have hands? Can we get gloves? Can we clean up our neighborhood? Yes. So then we take the responsibility of doing our part to making sure that Mother Nature, Mother Earth, Gaia is healthy. We don't have to be the savior of the world, because that's something that's unattainable. However, if you are doing your part where you are, and somebody is doing their part in the next town over, and somebody is doing their part in the next town over from that, and we have somebody doing their part in the next state over, and everybody's doing their part all over the place. Can you imagine, the condition of what this planet could be? So, just taking care of the planet in the same way that you would want to be taken care of. Be mindful of your time dedicated to the to the craft. So I know that a lot of people are busy, and some people, as I said before, have mental health issues. Being mindful of the time dedicated to your craft. So if you know that you are feeling kind of down and you're kind of feeling upset, don't tell yourself that I'm going to do this tomorrow if you know that there's a good chance that you won't do it. Set your times and your plans when you feel good. If meditation makes you feel good, then do that. Say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to meditate tomorrow. Stick with it. Stick by it. Try, even if you say, I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes and you only meditate for 5, that's a win. That is a win. Don't feel discouraged. Don't feel like you let yourself down. Don't feel like you let anything else down. Be proud of yourself for the time that you did put in. Be mindful of the time. So this could be setting aside 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month for study. Even if you are busy, there is always time that can be made for your craft. Number 6, keep your words in good order. You are a representation of all of us, just as I am a representation of all my brothers and sisters in the craft. Now, this does not mean that what I believe everybody believes. And this does not mean that what you believe everybody else is going to believe. What this means is that how you carry yourself in the craft, how you present yourself in the craft, is a reflection of all of us. There are people out there, unfortunately, that use the craft to intimidate others or to scare others. This is not how I want to be represented. They do not represent me. However, even though I know that they don't represent me, whoever they just scared and whoever they just intimidated or whoever they threatened to use their craft on, that person now thinks that everybody in the craft is like that. We need to keep our words in good order. We need to be mindful that we are a representation of everybody who practices in the craft. Stop using the craft as a weapon. It is not. See, I get fired up. And let me just take a breath. If you share hateful words or explosive conversation in the name of the craft, you are giving people an idea of how we all are. This is how misconceptions and judgments are formed. A witch on a verbal rampage against someone will give that person the idea that all witches are verbally volatile, and that's not fair to the rest of us. Even if someone is insulting you for being a witch, it's best to be mindful of what happens next on your part in keeping your words in good order. I am not saying that you cannot defend yourself. Obviously you can. However, the second that you cross that line and say, because you're angry, I'm going to curse you. I'm going to hex you because you're angry. It's not even like, if somebody is telling you that you are going to hell, that is their opinion. And now you are then telling that person that you're going to put a hex on them because they gave you their opinion of them. In my book, that is not how I want to be portrayed. I would never use the craft as a weapon. Whatever I had to say to that person, either I can say it, if I was in that situation, somebody said, well, don't you know that you're sinning, you're going to go to hell? I would explain to them, I don't believe in the Christian concept of hell. And it is okay for you to believe what you want to believe. It is not okay for you to project your beliefs onto me, as I am not projecting my beliefs onto you. And would then walk away from that conversation. Everybody's different, and I understand that. Somebody may approach that differently. Somebody may choose to not say anything at all, and that's okay. However, I don't want to be viewed as this crazy, volatile person that hexes everybody who has an opinion of me that does not match what my opinion of myself is. So keep your words in good order, not just for yourself, but for the rest of us. Keep your thoughts in good order. One word: manifestation. We are the creators of our own destiny, so what do you think will happen if we allow sadness, anger, negativity to rule our minds? Now, the saying is that you attract what you focus on, and this is absolutely 100% fact. You attract what you focus on. If you are, trying to manifest something in your life, but you are doubting yourself, or you automatically feel like it's not going to work, what do you think is going to happen? It's not going to work, because manifestation is, putting that energy out there and believing, seeing in your mind's eye that it's already happened, believing that it's happening. We cannot live in this negative mental space. It's okay to have bad days. It is okay to go through mental health issues. We cannot live there. We have to pick ourselves up and get out of that mental space. We will manifest more of the same. What we think we attract. It's okay to have bad days, but if you find that you have unpacked and are living in this mental state, you will be bringing in more and more of it. Also, let's not forget that negative thought patterns over long periods of time and prolonged anger and sadness can also manifest into physical illness. Tap into yourself and how you are feeling. That was backwards. This is important. Check in with yourself. Especially if you are about to do some work where you're going to be trying to manifest something in your life. Check in with yourself before you even start. How are you feeling mentally? How are you feeling physically? If you go into this work doubting yourself or feel like it's not going to happen, or like this mentality of like let's say if something unfortunate happens in your life, people have this tendency to be like, oh, just my luck. Oh, well, it's me, so I mean, of course it's going to happen. That mindset is very damaging to your life. You know why? Because the second you say, well, it's just my luck, it's just what happens to me all the time, guess what? You're going to get more, because you just told the universe, this is what I get all the time. This is mine. Yep, you can deliver it right here, unpack it right here, because this is mine. I own all this bad shit. So it's important to check in with yourself to make sure that you are not about to enter, spell work or trying to manifest something in this negative mindset. With that being said, if you are feeling negative or you are feeling sad or angry or any of these things, or you're self-doubting, you may need to change your mindset before going into this work. This is why it's important to keep your thoughts in good order. Number 8, celebrate life. The process of being grateful for each breath you take is a celebration all in itself. We are not only on earth, but we are one with the earth and all other life on it as well. Take care and celebrate yourself. So it's important to take care of yourself and celebrate your life. Celebrate who you are, what you have to offer to other people. We all have something that we offer. And, that our purpose, is to bring ourselves, to this place of self-realization and what we have to offer to humanity, to ourselves, and to anything on this planet. Take care and celebrate yourself. I already said that. Be a positive influence and representation of what humanity really is or what it means to you. Take care of the earth and all life forms on it. So this is celebrating life. This is not just celebrating your life. This is celebrating life, all life. And, making sure that we are doing our part in taking care of not only ourselves, but each other and every other living thing on this planet. We cannot save the world, but we can do our part to make a change and make a difference. Number 9, attune with the cycles of the earth. This is everything from the cycles of the moon to the seasonal changes of the earth and the wheel of the year. Commune with the moon, the sun, and the earth. Give your thanks and gratitude to them for the role they play in your survival. Honor the returning sun at Yule. Honor the quickening of the earth and returning life at Imbolc and Ostara. Honor the fertility and abundance of all life on earth at Beltane. Dance and celebrate on the longest day of the year at Letha. Honor the first harvest at Lammas or Lunasa. Honor the second harvest at Mabon. Honor the third and final harvest and commune with your ancestors or spirits at Samhain. Connect with yourself and all that is around, above, and below you. So this is really attuning yourself to all of the cycles. There are cycles and patterns everywhere around us. We have the cycles of the sun. So the cycles of the sun aren't just how long our days are. You know what I'm saying? Sunset, sunrise, midday, noon. It's not just that. It's the duration of our day. Because when we are at Letha is summer solstice, and it's the longest day of the year and the shortest night of the year. Then we get to Yule. Yule is the shortest day of the year, but the longest night of the year. So we have that cycle. Then we have lunar cycles that happen monthly. Attune ourselves to these cycles and really learn about them and how they affect our bodies and how they affect life, how they affect our planet. And, really connect with all of that. Number 10, breathe and eat correctly. Take moments throughout your day to take in a deep, revitalizing, and healing breaths. And that is really, it's like, It's amazing what that kind of breath can do for you. Breathe in for 2 seconds, hold for 2 seconds, breathe out for 2 seconds. You can even do longer breaths. Breathe in for 5, hold for 5, breathe out for 5. Be mindful of the nourishment you are providing your body. Now, this is not saying that you need to eat celery and carrots every day for the rest of your life. No, because I certainly do not. I am mindful of what I'm taking into my body. I do. For a girl like me, I tell you what, I love my salads. I love eating healthy. I do. I make a lot of healthy choices. With that being said, I also like ice cream. I also like cookies. And that's okay too. I'm not trying to shame anybody for the choices they are making in their life. Just want who am I to speak, right? But I'm just saying. Food is energy and food is health. The better you eat, the better you will feel. And the better you feel, the more energy you will have. So this is just about making mindful choices. If you eat nothing but pizza, okay, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel heavy. Pizza has food groups in it, yes, but does it also have grease and a ton of cheese? Is it delicious? Absolutely. Absolutely. It sure is. But it's not the best choice daily. So it's important to make mindful choices in your day, and make healthy choices too. It's okay to have the pizza, but have a healthy lunch before you have the pizza at dinner. And this is not a have to. Of course, this is just my opinion, but just putting it out there. It's important to be mindful of your health and the decisions that you're making. Food is energy. So, 11, exercise the body. You don't have to be super physically fit unless you choose to be. That is a personal choice. Be heart healthy. This is important. We cannot let ourselves go. And, some people unfortunately already have heart issues. They already have heart issues naturally because of their DNA and their genes and things like that. Some people have high blood pressure, bad cholesterol, because it's in their genetic makeup. And it really has nothing to do with the choices they are making in their life. But if you have the choice to be heart healthy, it's important to make that choice. Even if it's walking, even just walking, 15, 20, 30 minutes a day, a few, 3 or 4 days a week. Exercise not only helps your energy levels and helps your body work more efficiently, but it also helps with mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. And I can attest to this. I can tell you how much it helps. It really, really does. It is a mood lifter. It makes you feel so good after you've done it. Sometimes, especially when you're going through a mental health episode, you don't want to start it. You're like, no, I don't really want to do it. You find yourself, that depressive state finds you wanting to keep you inside and doing nothing. And we let it win when we get to that point. But if you say, no, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to do this. When you get back, you feel so much better. So exercise the body. Number 12, meditate. Just as you would exercise your body, you need to exercise your mind. Meditation is beneficial to the mind, body, and soul. It allows you to connect with your higher self, universal energy, and the divine. It will help with aligning your chakras and open them as well. It will help you fine-tune your perception, your intuition, and psychic ability. And it allows you to connect with ancestors and spirit guides. Meditation is one of those things that I absolutely love to do. And when I first started out with meditation, I promise you I will not go on a tangent. I won't. When I first started out with meditation, I had a very hard time with it because I had all of these misconceptions. Once I started listening to myself and I started really listening to my body saying, listen, it doesn't make sense to meditate and try to shut your mind off. That's not what meditation is. And when I started listening to my body and my mind and said, you know what, let me just go into this and allow my thoughts to flow. I came out of that meditation experience. I'm telling you, it was amazing. It was amazing. I had pins and needles all over my body because that meditation I went into, I was in such a deep meditative state. that I saw colors. There was colors moving into other colors. There was like, almost like forms. And of course, the first time that I meditated, I wasn't aware enough that I should take note of the different forms I was seeing with the colors, and how I was feeling and what I was feeling, and things that I thought I heard, or things like that. As I became more knowledgeable about meditation, and the more I did it, then I became more aware that I should really start taking note of the things that I'm seeing with my third eye. So meditation is so beneficial for your mind, your body, and your soul. And I think that it should be something that should be done by everyone. I think that it should be taught in schools. I really wish they would teach that in schools. I mean, they teach kids how to do their 1, 2, 3s and ABCs. I think that they should have a meditation, period where for 10 minutes the kids sit on the circle rug or whatever it is that they do in school today, and have meditation and teach these children how to tap into themselves and really listen to their inner self, their higher self, their intuition, and how they perceive themselves and what they're receiving as far as information from something higher than this earthly realm. And the last, but certainly not least, and I will say this is, I feel, optional. It's definitely optional. Honor the god and goddess. Not all witches honor the god and goddess. And so that's why I say I feel this one is optional. I don't believe that witches have a specific path that they should be following, and it should be this or that. Everybody's an individual, therefore your paths should be individual as well. If you believe and honor deity in your craft, then this would apply to you. Honor your deities. Recognize how they play a role in working alongside you. How they add to your life, and how you add to their existence. We do not worship them. We are not working for them. We are working with them. We are walking along side by side with our deities, those that do honor them. And again, we do not worship them, we honor them. We honor their existence in our lives, and how they play a role in our lives, and how we commune with them, and they work with us. So this is important if you do believe in deity, and you do have, you do walk a certain path, and you do practice your craft with deity. Honor them. This can be setting up a specific place on your altar. You can have, if you don't have an altar set out all the time, that's fine. I have cats, I get it. So you can have, if you do have an altar out all the time, and you do honor deity, having, something that represents them. You do not have to go out and buy these fancy statues that cost a ton of money. If you choose to, that's fine. But if you don't have the funds, do not feel like you are not honoring them appropriately because you can't afford these things. Do not fall into that trap. Believe me when I say that your deities will appreciate you just as much as the person who has statues. Okay, you can literally find things outside. You can find things outside. You have, I'll give you an example. Maat, the Egyptian goddess of the underworld and of justice. You could find a feather. You can find a feather. One of her, she has, she's associated with feathers, in particularly ostrich feathers. But I mean, I'm sure any feather would be appropriate. But you can put feathers on your altar as a representation of her. So if you have hawks and you find a hawk feather, you can use that for Horus. So, or whoever, your deity is. I follow the Egyptian pantheon, so therefore I'm using Egyptian deities as reference. But it's important to, if you don't have an altar, I just bit my lip. If you don't have an altar, set up like a little space on your TV stand or in your bedroom, whether you have a shelf, just putting something up that reminds you of them to show, and that'll be their sacred space. That's like their temple in your home. honor them by doing things like that, communing with them often, building a relationship with them. In my opinion, and I will say in my opinion, if we are working with deity and the only time we ever talk to them is to ask them for something, how would you feel if that were you? How would you feel if someone that you cared about and you had, where you were always giving your energy to them or giving them whatever they asked for, but the only time that they ever came to you and talked to you is when they wanted something? How would that make you feel? We need to look at deity in the same perspective, that we cannot build a relationship if it's going to be one-sided. Commune with them. Spend time with them. This can be through meditation. This can be through honor rituals. This can be through however you choose. But it's important that if you do believe in deity and you do honor them in your craft, to make sure that you are doing so at some point throughout your that's not English. I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. It's important to take the time, dedicate some time to honoring them. That's what I'm trying to say. So that is the 13 goals of a witch, and I hope that you found this video useful, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.